years I was managing editor, which was the second in command in the newsroom. I pushed for one newsroom, print and digital. We really never had a divide between our web newsroom and a print newsroom. It's one newsroom for both. Our news operations have been integrated for years. We adhere to a simple rule. We publish stories when they're ready on whatever the best platform is available. So this meant years ago, for instance, when the Times published stories about secret wiretapping by the Bush administration, stories that later won a Pulitzer Prize, our highest honor in the US. We published that straight to the web, and right now I can't think of a recent story where we've held it back for publication on the front page of the print paper. For the past year, I've been pushing more of our journalists to be involved in social media and video. Our highest impact stories now are multimedia. In this area, I had mentioned we did a big, ambitious series called A Year at War about a troop of soldiers in Afghanistan. We followed them from home to Afghanistan and back on home leave. We created deep video portraits of many of the individual members of the platoon so that you could follow the characters who interested you most. There were graphic maps, there was some motion capture graphics, and this attracted a very big audience on our website. Recently, we have done portraits of young adults with autism and their efforts to find work and create a semblance of a normal life for themselves as young adults. And we invented something called quick links in the body of the story, the written story online, where as you moved your cursor, you would automatically open just little short pieces of video so that you could see what the characters looked like and hear what they sounded like. Some of them were pretty impaired in being able to talk, and some of them were also very talented. One was a great cartoonist, and when you read about his cartooning talents, you brought up a bit of video where you could see him drawing and what he was drawing. So I really think multimedia techniques of all sorts very much help us deepen our stories and add quality to our journalism. We're also expanding internationally. This year, we established a blog of quality news in India that's called India Inc., and we've actually broken some important stories about government censorship on that blog, which has already quite a dedicated audience. And we're looking at other markets too to expand and offer high-quality news reports that would carry both content from our international political and economic reports in the New York Times, but also have more journalism of specifically regional or local interest. We found that just as in the 1990s, the Times was very smart in becoming a national newspaper. We had been mainly known as a New York regional newspaper with great coverage of politics and other areas, but we then expanded and went national, and now we believe strongly that the smart play is to spread our quality journalism globally, because there's the same kind of audience that we found in the US, one that is highly educated, affluent, and very hungry for quality news now in many emerging markets. And so expanding globally is a whole new opportunity for us. The International Herald Tribune, which some of you, I hope, read, will remain the anchor of our international efforts, but they'll be augmented by some others that I think are very exciting. So the three words that begin with the letter I, innovation, integration, and international, are the center of my thinking as executive editor. While explaining the things that we have been doing that I think have kept us healthy, I do want to be candid with you and say that I share a lot of concern about some of the broader trends in our industry and profession. Investigative journalism, which is where I spent much of my career, is more important than ever, but it's been cut back because it's so expensive and time-consuming. But the need for it is greater than ever, especially in a presidential election year in the US, where more than $1 billion is going to be spent by the various candidates and outside political groups. Many other news organizations have also cut back on their foreign coverage. So when the Arab Spring and the Euro crisis developed, or the leadership transition in China, which is beginning and coming along, and all of the demand for what's happening to the Spanish banks today, for example, US news organizations have way cut back on the number of foreign bureaus they once had. There are many important foreign cities like Moscow or Rome where, we used to have, maybe the LA Times, the Washington Post, the Philadelphia Inquirer would all be there competing for stories, and now we are often the only game in town. I think for newspapers, we are the only ones still maintaining fully staffed bureaus in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So I worry about those cutbacks. But in the end, I am an eternal optimist, and I feel that what I've seen of the revolution so far gives me a lot of reasons to be hopeful. One of my favorite books is a Wallace Stegner novel called Crossing to Safety. I won't be presumptuous or arrogant in declaring that the New York Times has already reached safety where we must go. But I am confident we are crossing to safety, and I hope we will do that together. So I'm very much looking forward to answering to your questions. Sorry, my voice has been a little scratchy, and thank you for listening.